We snagged some long strips of 3/4 inch plywood for the legs and ripped them down to a little over 2 inches wide. You'll notice that this is wider than the final dimensions of the legs, and that's because we're going to cut them down to final width later. By the way, we have free detailed plans and a SketchUp file available on our website at spencelydesignco.com, and that's linked down in the description below. We moved our fence over to the final width we wanted and ripped a strip of MDF that we're going to use to make the leg template. Now we're going to shape this template exactly how we want one of the legs to look, and then copy the design onto all the other legs so that they're perfectly symmetrical.
And to cut the pieces down, we had to grab the crosscut sled, which is easier said than done.
We marked out an oversized length for the legs and set our stop block on the mark so that all of our cuts would be exactly the same size. So I guess the old saying is measure twice, cut once, but I guess in this case it's measure once, cut 4 times? Anyway, the stop block makes it super easy to cut consistent lengths in the pieces. Just trim one sliver off the end of the board to make it square, and then slide your board down to the stop block and repeat until you have all 4 legs cut down to rough size. Next, we measured the final length that we wanted for the legs and set our stop block on that mark and locked everything in. But honestly, we cut 2 of these MDF leg templates here because Miranda and I wanted to compete to see who can make the best one.
Spoiler alert, I won. Back over at the workbench, we made a mark in the center of the leg for how far in we wanted the curve to go. For reference, we did about 1/4 inch, but you can do whatever you think looks best. To make a uniform curve, I pounded in a small nail at both ends of the template. We could then bend a small piece of scrap wood around the nails to form a curve that met the 1/4 inch mark we made earlier.
After removing the nails, we propped our template up on some foam insulation and began to cut out the curve. Honestly, these are the kind of cuts that a bandsaw excels at, but we don't have one and we wanted to show off our super sweet jigsaw from the early 90s. Just take your time and try to cut as close to the line as you can. As you can see, we aren't exactly good at cutting on the lines. Luckily, MDF sands really easily, so Miranda worked on sanding a nice smooth curve on the template while I ran inside and grabbed us some Kool-Aid jammers. With the template all finished, we grabbed some CA glue, which is just a fancy word for super glue, and some blue painter's tape. After applying a few strips of painter's tape to both the template and the oversized legs, we added a few drops of CA glue on the tape and pressed the pieces together. Just make sure that the flat side of the template matches up with the edge of the oversized leg piece. We then grabbed our router and put in a templating bit, which we'll put a link to in the description below, as well as all the other tools that we used. And we routed our template design onto each leg. The template bit has a bearing on the top that rolls along the MDF template and makes sure the wood perfectly follows the pattern. Just take your time here and make sure that everything is held down securely.
If you'd like to see some behind the scenes pictures and videos, check us out over on Instagram at Spenceley Design Co. Over there you can see all the projects we're working on before they make it to YouTube and even help us make project decisions. Right now we've got about 700 followers and we'd love for you to join us.
After the initial pass, we lowered the router bit again until the entire shape was transferred over to the leg piece. We then scribed the line at each side of the leg so we know where to make the final cut. You can see how well the blue tape and CA glue trick works here. Now you have to use a little effort to break the pieces apart, but it doesn't tear up the wood like double-sided tape can. We want to cut these sections off of each leg, so we moved over to our crosscut sled. There, we trimmed off one end and with the help of a stop block, slid the leg over to make the final cut, which brought the leg down to their finished size.
With the legs mostly finished, we moved our attention to cutting the center supports. With our fence set to 1 3/4 inches, we ripped another piece of scrap down, and then marked a line on our crosscut sled to cut them down to their final length. No pressure here, but if you take 1 second of your time to support us, we'd really appreciate it. If you click that thumbs up button below, it helps us more than you know to get this tiny 150 subscriber channel out to more viewers. A lot of time and effort goes into making these project videos alongside the plans that we give out for free, and we couldn't accomplish any of that without your support. If you're interested in seeing even more projects, we'd be honored if you considered subscribing to our channel. Thanks for all your support.
After the center supports were cut, we lined everything up and realized that the centerpiece was too thick, so we ran it back over the table saw to trim about 1/4 of an inch off of each leg. We're going to be joining the two pieces together with a lap joint. Now this probably sounds complicated, but they're super easy to make and they're incredibly strong. We started off by marking the area that we wanted to remove and then moved over to our table saw. We lined one edge of the area that we wanted to remove with the blade and then tightened down the stop block. Next, we slid the mating piece next to our workpiece and tightened down the stop block. We could then remove the mating piece. With the help of a drill bit that's the exact same size as our table saw blade, which is about 1/8 of an inch for most people, we set the drill bit between the workpiece and the stop block to perfectly line up the blade. This is a foolproof method that works every time to get super accurate lap joints. After the first 2 cuts are made on the sides, simply take multiple passes to clear out everything on the inside of the cut. While we finish cutting the lap joint on the second center support, we really want to know what project you think that we should tackle next. Let us know what you want to see us build down in the comments below. We just might take your suggestion and feature your comment in a future video. We're looking forward to your awesome ideas. With the lap joints cut, we applied some glue and pressed them together. Now if you did everything right, the pieces should fit together perfectly, but you might need to use a hammer to get them together. It's not often that I impress myself, but this one really got me. Now in order to attach the center support to the legs, we need to cut some similar slots in the legs. We followed the exact same process we did as before, and we first started by marking out the area that we wanted to cut. I don't think it's 100% necessary to mark all this stuff out, but we like to do it to visually make sure that all of our cuts make sense before we inevitably screw anything up. So to go over this process again, first, align your blade to the first line, tighten your stop block down, insert your mating piece on the other side, tighten down that stop block, remove the mating piece, and then make your first cut. Afterwards, insert a drill bit the same size as your saw blade on the opposite side and hog out all the remaining wood on the inside. Now if you had a stack of dado blades, you could definitely do this faster, but this works for us. After the slots were cut, we spread some glue in there and joined the pieces together. Again, it's usually a pretty tight fit, so you might have to force the pieces together. And once you have 2 of the legs on, you can clamp them together and then move to put the other 2 on. We were absolutely flying through this project and things were going great until we went to attach the 3rd leg. It was a little tighter fit than the other 2, but I didn't really think much of it. So I grabbed a hammer, gave it a few taps, until the inevitable happened. I completely shattered the leg.
That's too tight.
And just for the record, I told him it wouldn't work, but why would he start listening to me now?
Well, at least I listened to her with one thing and I didn't throw the MDF leg template out from before. So we just made another leg and then got everything glued up and let it sit overnight. And to finish the project off, we put a couple coats of armor seal on. We've seen a lot of this type of plant stand around, but we wanted to give our unique spin on it. We chose to keep the plywood edges exposed since it'll perfectly match the media console that we made a few months back.